Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. I hope you enjoy the video. It encapsulates what the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce is all about. Basically, we are a state chamber consisting of 4 regions covering Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, Greater Houston, Rio Grande Valley, San Antonio, and Austin. And we have chairs here, respective chairs are here. We have Bobby Reyes of Greater Houston. We have Yoli Moy of Central San Antonio. Bing Lim represents DFW, and I believe Jilasaka is here as well. She's chair of DFW. Now, before we get started, we have good news. I have just learned today that one of our members have been given a grant from the about a few months ago. The Asian Chamber of Commerce and the ACE gave a grant to restaurant owners. And Houston was the first to pick it up, and we were able to disseminate it to our regions. But one of our restaurant owners in the FW just got his grant today for $10,000. So that's good funding. So I guess it's related to our topic today. So if you are in DFW, we are celebrating in his restaurant on Saturday. So let me know and I will give you instructions. We are always, we are a very social group, Cindy and Rosie. You will find that. And I hope you can join us. And to proceed, tonight we are talking about accessing capital. And we have 2 very powerful speakers, and I'm very grateful that they can join us. We have Cindy from Comerica, Cindy Hu, and then we have Roscio Rueda from LiftFund. And I am so grateful that they can join us. And I am going to present the program for tonight. We have, of course, this remarks, and then I will read you the guidelines. And then Sonia of Comerica will be talking about Comerica, and she'll be introducing our first speaker, Cindy. And then Cindy will speak, and then Jill will be introducing Rosie. And then after Rosie's talk, we are going to have the Q&A. Now, if we don't cover the questions that you have, if you have more concerns, send it to us, and we will forward it to the speakers. We will forward it to the speakers, and then we will proceed from there. All righty, let's see our guidelines. Okay, digital etiquette. Please make sure that your microphones are muted when it's not your turn to speak. Please use Q&A chat box for your questions. Questions will be answered after both discussions. If we run out of time questions and you still have concerns, then send it to us. Please do not spam. Observe the 1 question, 1 comment per person rule. Practice a rule of 3. Share your thoughts in the chat and wait for 3 people or 3 minutes before typing again. If there is something you'd like to discuss with another attendee, but it is not for the benefit of the whole group, please kindly take your conversation outside of Zoom, as we want to keep our discussions on topic. Let's build up one another. Let's stay positive. Please help us keep our Zoom space safe so that everyone can share their questions and comments respectfully. All righty. Thank you, April. I am calling on our wonderful Comerica folks, Sonia, to please, Sonia is, Sonia and Brandon, actually, Brandon Jones and Sonia, Track has been very helpful in this whole process. This is our 4th segment of the boot camp, and they have been, I don't think we can put this together without them. So let me pass this on to you, Sonia, to introduce yourself. You do it so wonderfully. And then Cindy, and to talk about Comerica. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Rowena, and good evening, everyone. So first off, I want to acknowledge my appreciation and for the ongoing support and partnership from PACC Texas. You know, Comerica Bank works very hard to support small businesses and entrepreneurs across our national footprint, especially those in diverse communities. Now, as Rowena mentioned, Brandon Jones, who is my very dear friend and colleague in our Texas market, specifically supporting Dallas, has been very instrumental in putting this program together. And over time, I hope that you will see more and more of these entrepreneur and small business boot camps really in every single market. For those that have not heard from me, my name is Sonia Track. I do work with the External Affairs Group at Comerica Bank very recently. Recent as in about 5 months ago, I was appointed as the bank's national AAPI Business Development Manager. And so what that means is I will be the person that will be responsible for building relationships with all of you, our business leaders in the AAPI community and our, really in our diverse community. So I'm really excited to be here. Really appreciate this. So tonight I have the very honor to introduce Cindy. Now I'll read you a really quick bio. Cindy has been with Comerica Bank for more than 12 years and has nearly 2 decades of experience in the financial services industry. She started her career with Comerica Bank as an assistant manager and was promoted to a banking center manager around 2012 and worked in numerous offices in Southern California before she relocated to Northern California in 2014. Currently, she serves as one of our rockstar district managers for the East Bay San Jose district. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with a focus in finance from California State University, Northridge. It's my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, Cindy. Cindy, take it away.
Thank you, Sonia. That is a lot more than it actually sounds. But today, I am so happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. We are going to be talking about the 5 C's of credit. And before I get started, I want to make sure that you guys see my screen. You guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yep, we see it.
Yes, perfect. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So I am, again, the district manager. And today we're going to be discussing the 5 C's of credit and how banks use these considerations to determine credit worthiness. Banks and lenders generally look at your ability to repay, your level of debt, and how you plan to use the money and your collateral before we make an offer. Most lenders incorporate the 5 C's of credit to understand how likely you're able to repay your debt. The better you look as a borrower, the more likely your business will get the loan. So how many of you know what a credit score is? It's more than just a 3-digit number. Your credit score represents your financial reputation. It's used by lenders to help them decide how likely it is that they will be repaid on time. It's also a model used to compare the information in your credit history to evaluate your risk by balancing the negative and positive factors in your credit report. The average credit score in the United States right now is at an all-time high of 711. That is as of January 2021. And approximately 14% of our population has 0 credit. That's labeled as credit invisible. As a result, these individuals will likely have very difficult time obtaining new lines of credit. So, did you know that your credit score is based on 5 key factors? If you can manage these 5 key factors, then you need not worry about your credit score. The first most important component of your credit score looks at your payment history. Can you be trusted to repay the money that is lent to you? This component of your score considers the following factors. Have you paid your bills on time for each of your credit reports? Paying bills late will have a negative effect on your score. If you pay late, how late were you? 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? The later you are, the worse it is for your score. Have any of your accounts gone into collection? This is a red flag. Do you have any charge-offs, debt settlements, bankruptcies, foreclosures, wage attachments, liens, judgments against you? These are some of the worst things to have on your credit report from a lender's perspective. The second most important component of your credit score is the amount owed. It looks at the factors of how much of your total available credit have you used. Less is better, but owing a little bit can be better than owing nothing at all, because lenders want to see that if you borrow money, you are responsible and financially stable enough to pay it back. How much do you owe on a specific type of account, such as mortgage, auto loan, credit cards, and installment loans? Credit scoring models like to see that you have a mix of different types of credit and that you can manage them all responsibly. How much do you owe in total? How much do you owe compared to the original amount on installment loan accounts? Again, less is better. Length of credit history. Your credit score also takes into account how long you have been using credit. How many years? How old is your oldest account? What's the average age of all your accounts? A long history is helpful, but a short history can be fine too, as long as you've made payments on time and you don't owe too much. New credit. Your FICO credit score considers how many new accounts you have. It looks at how many new accounts you have applied for recently. The score assumes that if you've recently opened several new accounts, you could be at a greater risk. People tend to open new accounts when they are experiencing cash flow problems. Type of accounts in use. The final thing in your FICO formula considers in determining your credit score is whether you have a mix of different types of credit, such as credit cards, installment loans, and mortgages. It also looks at how many total accounts you have. Since this is a small component of your credit score, don't worry if you don't have a lot of accounts in each category, and don't open new accounts just to increase your mix of credit types. As I've mentioned before, there are 3 credit bureaus: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. These companies collect data about your credit history so potential lenders can see what type of risk they'd be taking in giving you a new credit card or a loan. These 3 credit bureaus are separate entities and operate independently of each other, and generally they don't share information with each other. They each create their own credit report, which you can view. Your credit report may be your creditors may report to all three of your credit bureaus or just one of them. Because of that, the information in your credit file may be different from one to the next. When potential creditors and lenders check your credit, they may only pull one rather than viewing all 3. Here's an example of different types of personal credit available with most lenders, from home mortgages to student loans. Each will have a different interest rate and payment schedule. For business credit, these are the mix of business credits available. Many businesses use multiple business credit because each serves a different purpose, like large capital purchases or simply for day-to-day operations. While banks don't have a universal rule about what makes someone creditworthy, they're guided by some of the general principles. These are the 5 C's of credit: character, capacity, capital, condition, and collateral. Character is reflected in your credit score. Capacity measures your ability to repay. Capital looks at your total debt. Condition includes how you plan to use the funds, and the collateral is what assets you're able to pledge. Making choices that reflect these characteristics and building the habits you need to get there can take some stress out of obtaining credit for your business. Lenders need to know the borrower and guarantors are honest and have integrity. Additionally, the lenders need to be confident that the applicant has the background, education, industry knowledge, and experience required to successfully operate the business. Lending institution may require a certain amount of management or ownership experience. They will also ask about your licensing and whether or not you have a criminal record. As history is the best predictor of the future, a lender will examine the personal credit of all the borrowers and guarantors involved in the loan. Sound business and personal credits are a must. Check both credit reports before calling your lender. If there are any delinquencies, be prepared to explain them. The lender may be able to make an exception on low credit scores. Capacity measures the borrower's ability to repay the loan by comparing income against recurring debt and assessing the borrower's debt-to-income ratio. Lenders calculate DTI by adding together the borrower's income and the borrower's monthly debt payments. The lower an applicant's DTI, the better the chances of qualifying for new loan. Every lender is different, but many lenders prefer an applicant's DTI to be around 35%. So your rule of thumb is for every $1 in total loan payments, $1.50 cash flow should be generated. Your lender will ask what personal investments you plan to make in the business. Not only does injecting capital decrease the chances of default, but contributing personal asset also indicates that you're willing to take a personal risk for the sake of your business. Capital is essentially how much skin you personally have in the game. The lender will also need to understand the condition of the business, the industry, and the economy, which is why it's important to work with a lender who understands your industry. The lender will want to know if the current conditions of the business will continue, improve, or deteriorate. Furthermore, the lender will want to know how the loan proceeds will be used: working capital, renovations, additional equipment, etc. A lender will consider the value of business assets and the personal assets of the guarantors as a secondary source of repayment. Collateral is an important consideration, but its significance varies depending on the type of loan. A lender will be able to explain the type of collateral needed for your loan. So what's needed to apply for a loan? Before you approach your lender, you must get familiar with all the required documentation needed to obtain a loan. Each bank and financial institution has its own list, but here are some general universal requirements. Choosing your lender. Choosing your lender for your small business is one of the most important decisions you'll have to make as an entrepreneur. The growth and stability of your company may depend on your decision. When done right, your choice will involve much more than getting access to capital. A good lender will not only provide you with information you need in a transparent and honest way, he will also provide you with ongoing assistance, tools, and resources to improve your financial performance and promote your growth. A lender needs to be familiar with your industry and the trends of your business. In other words, the right lender is a business partner and an ally to your way of success. As in many other business you approach as a customer, you may need key information from your lender. Don't hesitate to ask any questions. It's the only way you can guarantee you make the right decision. The following list can help you. Make sure you ask your lender these following questions. Why choose Comerica Bank? We're more than just bankers. We are trusted advisors, and we have a proven record of building the long-lasting relationships I just spoke about. Here's my information. And that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Cindy. Let's see. Here you go. Now that was very, very important. You know, we are recording this. So if anybody wants it in about a week, we will have it online. At the same time, we can provide you with the information from Brandon and Sonia and Cindy and whoever else you would like to send to us, so we can forward the information to those who are interested. Very, very useful information. All righty. Thank you, Cindy. We are going to proceed with our next speaker. And I am going to call on Jill Asaka. Jill, are you here? There. Jill is going to introduce our next speaker. Okay, Jill is chair of our Dallas Fort Worth.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Friday. Thank you, Rowena, for the introduction. Our next speaker is Ms. Roscio Rueda. She is the Vice President of SBA Lending Group and Senior Business Development Officer at LiftFund. She is responsible for the growth of the business lending and oversees an administrative personnel by enforcing a professional atmosphere and establish procedures to increase productivity in the office. She also represents LiftFund at the various community outreach events. As a team leader, she is an effective communicator with a very strong work ethics. Her focus is to be a resource to the clients she serves by providing them with the tools and the training to make them successful. She maintains effective communication with the team and clients to ensure development and growth of each of the team members, and she delivers an excellent experience to the customers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next speaker.
Hi guys, thank you for having me. And so a little bit about my background. I was for most of my career, commercial lender. I've worked for large and small banks, from Capital One to Legacy Texas, to small community banks. My background is primarily in SBA lending. And so I've seen both the commercial side, what banks look for, and also what nonprofits and CDFIs look for. So CDFI is what LiftFund is. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let me set it up properly. So LiftFund is what's called a community development financial institution. So what we provide is resources and lending options for businesses that don't typically qualify at the bank. And so you've heard the 5 C's of credit. So we look at the 5 C's of credit. Cindy went into great detail about what lenders look for. That's pretty universal at any lender. That information is important. That's essentially how we underwrite and how we evaluate whether we can consider a loan or not. And so we look at everything the same as the bank does. However, we're flexible when it comes to credit. What do I mean by flexible? We can help sometimes, life happens, divorces, medical issues, and, maybe there's a collection or, things that a bank may consider a red flag or not comfortable with. We're pretty flexible. We're a mission-based lender, so we want to know your story and what happened. And as long as it kind of makes sense, we're willing to take a look at that. So we're not credit score driven. It's really mission-based driven. And we want to know your story and your background to see if you're a good fit for LiftFund. So our vision is we open doors, we level the financial playing field. So we're partners to banks. We don't compete with the bank. Comerica is one of our biggest supporters. I don't have a lot of time, but I will tell you that when we first moved from a location in Dallas, we had to move location. Comerica actually furnished our entire office. They donated the desk, the bookshelf, the conference room. So Comerica is a great partner for LiftFund. So we We thank Comerica for including us and for always being a great supporter. So we, again, don't compete with the bank. We partner with the bank. Comerica provides the funding. So Comerica will make a donation to LiftFund so that we can then make the loans that they're not able to make. So although sometimes you're not quite ready for the bank, that's okay. Usually it's because of a credit issue, collateral, or sometimes it's just the amount of time you've been in business. Most banks require 2 years in business in order to be considered for credit. And in our case, we do work with startups. So that's why banks partner with us. Our mission is to provide credit and services to small businesses that don't have access to loans through banks, through traditional commercial services. We provide education and funding. So primarily what we do is funding. So that's our number one goal. Provide that credit, that capital that you need to get started or to just grow your business. So we, as a CDFI, we can lend anywhere from $1,000. So you're a mom and pop, business, and you need to buy a new printer, and it's going to cost you, I don't know, $2,500. Well, most banks, it's a very small loan. Sometimes it's, you don't fit for whatever reason, you don't qualify, and that's something that we can look into. And we lend up to, so anywhere from $1,000 up to about $500,000. So we really do help, pretty much you're talking about small business, mom and pop, or businesses all the way to your corporate businesses with many employees. So we do have a pretty big range of who we can help. We have different products. We talked about the 5 C's, and it's really important that you understand that. But you don't necessarily, as a borrower, have to know what programs are out there, what are your options, because that's the lender's job. The lender's job is to help you understand what's going to be the best fit for you, whether it's an SBA loan, a traditional conventional loan, a credit card, a line of credit. That's our job to guide you through what's the best option. We also provide education. So what does that look like? We provide if you are looking to start a business or you're looking for capital, we have a business center that you can get advising, one-on-one advising virtually. We offer classes. We have what's called LiftLearn. You don't have to be a business owner or a borrower to take these classes. It's offered at your own pace. It's free. And then we have marketing classes, accounting classes, things like that you can take, again, for free through our business centers if you visit our website. If you do decide that we're a good fit, we provide a lot of support, pre-loan, post-loan. So you get, not only are you getting capital from us, but you do get a lot of support as far as guiding you, because our goal ultimately is to get you back to the bank, to get you qualified for a bank so that you understand, so you can qualify for Comerica in the future. So we kind of guide you, get you ready for a bank for bank loans, and then we move on. So we lose our best clients, which is the opposite of what most businesses want to do, but that's our goal, is to get you back to the bank. I'm not going to really touch too much on the 5 C's of credit because Cindy did such a great job, but this is what we measure. This is how we determine if we can extend credit. So it's really important that you understand the 5 C's. And if you have questions on whether you may have some questions about your credit, things like that, my recommendation before you apply anywhere, have a conversation with your banker, with the lender, and to determine if it's the right time to apply or if you need a little bit more advising. So you can connect with us online. You can give us, you can email us. You can also call me directly. So I'm available for phone calls. If you have any questions or specific situations that you want to discuss. So like I mentioned earlier, LiftFund is a community development financial institution. We're not a bank. We're here to support small businesses that for whatever reason are not able to qualify at the bank. Most of the reasons that I see personally are time in business. You may be a startup, or you've had a credit issue in the past, or maybe collateral is an issue and the bank's not quite comfortable with collateral. For me, collateral is not a deal breaker. credit, it depends on what happened, but it's certainly not a deal breaker. And time in business is definitely not a deal breaker. It's something that we will look at if you're a startup. And just to give you an example of what the types of industries that I've worked with. So I've worked with dentists, we've had attorneys, we've had restaurants, beauty salons, transportation, a lot of the industries that are, it's a little bit harder to get financing for, or maybe you've had, a bankruptcy or something in your past that prevented you from qualifying at the bank. Well, for us, it's not necessarily a deal breaker. Again, it's about your story. What happened? Can you have how transparent are you? And so as long as you're open and honest with your lender, with LiftFund, we're willing to listen to your story and see if we're a good fit. So that's my information, and then we'll open it up for questions here soon.
Hey, Rosie, I think we were not able to see your slides, so we were not able to move, but your slides are, I think I received a copy of the slides earlier. They're pretty awesome. What we'll do is also forward the file to the attendees later on.
Okay, we can do that. I apologize. I thought it was sharing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Miss Rosie. Let's see. Okay, now we are going to open the floor to questions for Cindy and Rosie. And actually, Sonia and Brandon are here also in case you have questions for them. I think, let's see, from the chat, let's see. How do you protect your loans if creditworthiness is not a deal breaker for you?
So I believe this is probably for me. And so our average credit score is about between 600 and 650, which is pretty low compared to what banks are looking at. The way that we protect our loans, we have about a 96% repayment. And right now I have 100% repayment on the larger loans. The reason people pay us back is, one, we hold your hand throughout the entire time. And then after you receive the loan from us, we do a lot of, we offer a lot of classes, one-on-one advising. So we do a lot for the business to help support them. And then when we analyze the package, when we're looking at your business plan and your projections, we also provide advising. Sometimes your projections are not, maybe they're not as conservative, or they, everyone thinks they're going to make $1 million the first year. And we're like, wait a minute, industry standards is X. And so we will guide you to make sure that you set up the right foundation so that you can be successful. So in our case at LiftFund, we have about a 96% repayment even through the pandemic. And we have 100% on the SBA side. So I think it's because of the support that we provide in the education.
Okay, here's another question. Thank you, Rosie. Should new businesses target smaller banks for funding? Should new businesses target?
I think the Comerica, if you want to answer that.
Sure, I can answer that question. So if you are a brand new business, we would probably refer you to someone like Rosie for funding. If you have not filed any sort of tax returns yet to show your revenue for the business, if you have at least 1 year of tax return, we will certainly take a look to see if we can provide funding for you.
Okay. How do you build business credit?
It's the same way you build personal credit. It's by taking out a mix of different lending options. So business credit cards, business lines of credits, business term loans, or even large collateral purchases, real estate purchases that can help you build your business credit.
What is the maximum loan amount a startup company can borrow? For example, someone who's got stellar credit, but no collateral.
So
There's
when
an
we
echo.
go ahead, Rosie.
I'm sorry, there was an echo. The max amount that LiftFund can loan for a startup with it's $500,000. Without real estate, it's $250,000.
So at Comerica Bank, we don't really have those maximums. We can do more than that, but it is really going to be based off of your revenue, your collateral, and your credit.
We seem to have an echo problem. It's probably at my end. I don't hear it from Cindy, but Rosie and I think. Do I still have an echo, guys? No? Okay, good. All righty. Now, this is one thing we tell our members when they ask us about, getting funding. We tell them that they have to get to know their banker, find out what they need, get to know their banker, and build a relationship, because funding is something that's not just one go. You sometimes need money to start, you need money to, and it can come from different sources, right? So how does one develop, what is the best way to develop a relationship with a banker? How do we find the right banker for us?
I think it's by asking questions. And it's really, there's a lot of personal preference that comes into play of how well you work with a certain individual as well. You're not banking with the bank, you're really banking with the individual that you talk to. That is how we usually go by with our clients. They don't bank with Comerica Bank, they bank with me. And we take that relationship personally, and we try to develop the relationship that way.
Okay, here's another one. Maximum loan amount without real estate is 250,000. With real estate, it's 500,000. We are also, the person asking this question, we are also a community development corporation, which can, hang in there. This is Rosie's response. I'm so sorry, Rosie.
It's okay.
Let me read Rosie's response then. Okay. Maximum amount of loan without real estate is 250,000. Real estate is 500,000. We are also a community development corporation, which can lend up to 5.5 million under the SBA. Okay, that was Rosie's response. And okay. I believe that question was answered. For ease of funding point of view, is there a favored business structure that is sole proprietorship versus LLC, etc.?
At Comerica Bank, we don't make the preference on that. It is really based on your revenue, your business, and you. So it's not based off of how you title your business.
That's the same here at LiftFund. As far as whether you're deciding which route to take, I would say consult your attorney, your CPA, because there's tax implications. But yes, there's no preference on whether you're a sole proprietor or an LLC or a corporation. It's really your preference. So what's the right structure for you?
Okay. I don't see any other question on the chat. Does anyone have any question from the floor? Tito Gus, do you have a question? Oh, Edwin, do you have a question? I think you're muted, Edwin.
Hello from Tyler, Texas. Howdy. Thank you. I just want to know, what is the advantage, if there is any, of being a U.S. veteran for starting out a business as far as loan or capital?
So at LiftFund, we do have veteran programs. They consist of, maybe we have a buy down on your interest, meaning you get a very low interest rate. During the pandemic, we had USAA actually paid all of our veterans loans off. And so that was great.
Wow.
During the pandemic. Yeah, it was amazing. And we also, through the SBA, you get discounts on the fees, things like that. And it's also we do try to help our veterans. And so it's a strength. It strengthens the file in our case. And I'm sure at Comerica, when you're a veteran, we do tend to, it's not a favoritism or anything, it does help that we do a lot to support our veterans. And so at LiftFund, we do have special programs. It just depends on what's available. You have to let us know that you are a veteran so that we can search to see what program is going to be the best fit for you.
Thank you.
At Comerica Bank, we do similar things. So for our veterans through SBA, there's zero SBA guarantee fee for our veterans.
Thank you.
Very nice. Does anyone have any other question? Tito Gus, I think you're
Can you hear
muted.
me? Yeah, excuse my voice. Yeah, for a successful small business that is in an expansion mode, as you know, there are other sources of funding or investments other than banks, such as institutional investors and angel investors. If you want to share your ownership and grow quickly, what would you recommend? Just go to your friendly banker and borrow as much you can for growth, or when do you start looking at institutional investors?
So for Comerica Bank, we do look at other types of loans that you have before we determine your eligibility for a loan with the bank. So if you have other investors available, I would truly feel that that would be your third option, because we can't go behind that, but they can go behind us.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'd like to add a little bit. There is a startup boot camp that's coming to Dallas if you're interested in angel investors, venture capitalists. That's going to be here in Dallas. I'll send the information to Rowena so she could share. It's certainly a great option. Another option that I'm a huge fan of, and I actually invest myself, would be either crowdfunding or crowd lending. That's another option that business owners have. Most of my borrowers, my clients have been successful, not necessarily in raising a ton of money, but they've been successful in raising maybe the 10 or 20% they need that's required for startups. They've been successful in launching crowdfunding and crowd lending campaigns to help with that. And we're okay with that. So that's another way that business owners can obtain capital, and it's something that's new that not a lot of people think about, which would be crowdfunding or crowd lending. I'll provide that information to Rowena to send to you guys.
Okay. In the meantime, let me ask you about that one. Are there rules to crowdfunding? Is there a standard procedure to follow?
So, I mean, it's not easy. What I always recommend is go to a platform like Indiegogo and others, and I'll provide you a list of different platforms that you can use, and search your industry. So if you are in IT or whatever industry, search for their campaigns and look at what they're doing and how they're raising their money, and then see if they were successful, because it's not for everyone. But raising money through crowdfunding, especially if you have a new product or new market, it's a great way to test whether people will buy your services or your product if it's something that's new. So I really enjoy. I personally invest in some crowdfunding and crowd lending campaigns. If you're interested, I say go to the platforms and look at the different industries and the different campaigns and see if it's a good fit for you, because it's not easy. You have to have a good social media following. Your business has to have social media presence in order for it to work. So it's not for everyone, but it's a good option if you do have a good following.
Okay, thank you. Edwin, do you have another question?
No, not me. Oh, sorry.
Your hand is still raised?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Here's another one. For businesses that are successfully moving along, and they need cash flow, regular infusion of cash flow, when it becomes necessary. Businesses go, there are fluctuations to businesses. What would you advise a small business owner? And at what level of business can you provide that kind of funding? I guess this is a Comerica question.
So we start our lines of credit at 10,000. It's pretty small in terms of lending and working capital. We can revisit that line of credit whenever the borrower feels that they have an increased need. So a line of credit can go from 10,000 all the way up to 500,000 at the community level, and then even higher with our business banking group. So we are always working with our clients. It might be at a smaller amount when we first start, but that need grows, and we do multiple increases for our businesses throughout their life of their business.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other? Well, we're going to finish fast. We're very efficient.
Rowena, I'd like to add a little bit on the
Sure.
lines of credit and when to apply. So one thing that I've noticed, especially the newer businesses or pretty much any entrepreneur that has little experience with credit, is that you don't want to apply when it's necessary, when you've exhausted all of your savings and all of your funds, and now you go to the bank because you need an influx of cash flow. That is the wrong time to apply for funding. You're not going to qualify because we're going to see those decreasing balances. We're going to see that you're in a bind, and it's too risky. The key is to develop that relationship with the banker and make projections. Like if you know your busy season is the holiday season, for example, and you need to order a ton of inventory, don't wait until October, November to start, oh, I need a line of credit to purchase all this inventory. That's something that you should have already set up through your banker. That's what's really important, that you have that relationship with your bank and your banker so they understand your needs, and it's not a fire drill. You're trying to, obtain capital at the last minute, because you're going to have a bad experience and you're likely not going to qualify. The other thing is understanding the different types of credit. There's credit cards, there's a line of credit, there's term loans. And sometimes business owners don't understand how to use those. A credit card is for things that you need 45 to 60 days to pay off. Something, small supplies, office supplies, things like that, gas, small expenses that could be paid within 30 to 60 days. A line of credit is for expenses, like your working capital expenses, that will take you less than a year to pay off. Because lines of credit, keep in mind, they have restrictions. There's things you have to meet. Like most banks want you to pay it down to zero balance at least once within a certain amount of time. The line of credit should not be used for something that's going to take you more than 12 months to pay off. This is a term loan. A term loan is for expenses that are going to take more than 12 months to pay off. This is your equipment, your, things like that you're going to need more than 12 months to pay off, so you need a fixed payment. So that's another reason why you need to partner with a bank and a banker that's going to understand that and can make the best recommendation. Because it's not really your job to know what's the best fit. It's your banker's job to recommend those options.
And then I also want to add, great point, Rosie, and we see that a lot at the bank where businesses try to come when they need the money, but by that point, they no longer qualify because it shows on their credit that they need their money. They've maxed out their credit cards. They don't have a lot of savings left in their bank accounts. So it shows that they need money, and the risk is higher at that point. So it's less likely that they'll get approved. Another point is, don't be afraid of the annual fees on a business line of credit. Our annual fee is $150, and I see so many businesses shy away because of that $150. It really is the cost of doing business. $150, if you think about it annually, for your business to have a line of credit for whatever reason is a very small amount for you to have that security.
Good point.
Can I say something,
Yes, please.
Rowena? I believe in the conventional wisdom in business that you must try and be your own banker. In other words, build your company and grow it, using your own resources and your own profits. Now, if you must borrow, they also say that the best time to borrow is when you don't need the money. In other words, you have capital, you have bank accounts that you can present to the bank, and that's the best time to borrow money, when you don't need it, and get a line of credit instead of just getting the cash immediately from the bank. Just a line of credit that's there for you, because the interest would be very low. And then also from experience, I think the best rate that you can get is through SBA loans, working with your friendly banker. You agree?
I think we all saw from COVID what happened when at one point we didn't need the money, and then all of a sudden we all needed money. But by that point, it was too late for many businesses, unfortunately.
True. Okay, here's another question. Do banks and/or SBA, which includes LiftFund, also look at the business plan before deciding on giving out loans?
We do not. I'm not sure if Rosie does when they go through the handling of their businesses, but the banks do not.
Yes, I do. I require a business plan for any startup. If you're expanding or, or second location, I want to see a business plan, and I also require projections. I'm going to stress test your projections. And it's okay if your projections are not right on and you need to make changes. That's my job, is to help you through that. As well as the business plan, it has to be pretty comprehensive, and I have to have a really good idea of your background, the business, the need. No one gives out blank checks. One of the biggest mistakes I see business owners make when they apply is like, well, I want to apply for a loan and I want to see how much I can qualify for. This is not a personal loan. Every dollar has to have a job, and you have to have an exact idea of what you need, how much you need, in order for us to be able to structure a prop and make recommendations. Again, we need to know exactly how you're using the funds. And so that's another reason why you probably get declined at the bank, is because you apply for, a $50,000 working capital. There's, working capital loan, but you don't have it broken down on what working capital means. And you may not qualify because working capital, we look at your sales and your expenses and determine, you may not need 50,000 working capital. You may only need a $10,000 line of credit, for working capital. And so you get declined because we can't do 50,000. So again, it's really important that you have those conversations with your banker. But yes, I look at a business plan, I look at projections, and if you're not ready, we do provide services that will help you with the business plan and projections. There's a lot of resources that we can help you if you don't know how to put together a business plan. Don't get scared. There's plenty of resources in Dallas, and in all of wherever your business is there. I'm sure there's a resource nearby.
Thank you, Rosie. Does anyone have any other question? Sometimes with our team, with our group, the questions come after. Sometimes after the event, they send me the information, they send me the question. So I'll just forward that to you guys. There's another component of, and I've seen this in a lot of LMI communities, wherein they feel very vulnerable to expose their financials. They feel like there's judgment. They feel like there's, probably people looking at well, the judgment essentially, and the loss of face, the potential loss of face. So sometimes, well, when they ask me, I tell them that, your bankers, whether it's SBA or LiftFund or Comerica, your bankers are very professional. It's confidential, but it's important that the personal relationship should be there. They kind of want to know you, to see you, and then they can ask their questions. And sometimes, just like you said, don't get a loan. Don't plan this when you need it. Plan it in advance. So I guess my what I'm trying to say is we need to know you personally. We need to develop a closer relationship with you. We need to introduce you guys to our members. They need to get to know you, to know your name, and then they'll feel more comfortable about going to you and asking their questions, because we're very social and very personal group here. So this is an invitation, and maybe we can follow this up with more discussions later on and how we can go about it. But you are welcome to join us whenever you want to. We can start with the Filipino restaurants. You're welcome to join us, and we will introduce you to our members, and then maybe visits to their businesses. Does anyone have any other comment? It looks like we are 33 minutes shy of our 8 o'clock, which is not a bad thing. It's been a very efficient discussion. All righty. Rosie or Cindy, would you like to talk more about, since we have a little time, some more of your portfolios and what you have planned?
I did see a question about how to get in contact with an SBA loan officer, so you can certainly get in contact with me. I have been doing SBA loans for about 15 years now, so I can answer questions. And then I want to piggyback, Rowena, on what you said about, being open and vulnerable. You're going to have a better experience if you're transparent. If you're transparent, open, and honest with what's keeping you up at night. I always tell people, I want to hear the good, I want to hear the bad, and I want to hear the really, really bad. What's keeping you up at night? Because that's the only way we can provide recommendations and help you. We need to know how to make the best recommendations, and the best way is just be transparent. Your banker can make an assessment and then provide recommendations to help you. And we have to have that transparency, because I don't want to scare you, but we always figure it out. The numbers tell us everything that we need to know. Credit, when we put your package together, we figure out a lot of it, but you don't want us to make assumptions. You want to be able to tell your story. So that's key. Just being open and honest and transparent. You're going to have a better experience if you do that, especially when it comes to commercial lending.
I agree with that statement. It also allows us to help you plan for the future. Maybe we can't get you a loan now, but there are steps we can have you start implementing for a loan in the future.
Okay, sounds very promising. Let's see. And I think this is it. Thank you so much, everyone. We finished in an hour. We covered a lot of ground. We got to know each other a little more. And Brandon or Sonia, would you like to, this is our final one for the year. I'm hoping to do this again next year with a slightly different range of topics. Would you like to say something? I would love to hear you.
Sure. I apologize for jumping on late. Thank goodness for my wonderful counterpart out in California, Sonia, who has my back in this situation. So I have to apologize to everybody. I am in grad school and my classes overlap the beginning of this boot camp. So Sonia has been here nightly saving the day for me. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But Rowena, thank you. Like, you have been the most amazing partner. You pulled this boot camp off flawlessly, from just the flyers and the folks that you brought in and the level of businesses that you bought here. We really, really thank you. Kudos from Herb as well. He gave me some notes about it and said, whoa, Rowena's over there really throwing a good boot camp, right? I was like, yeah, it is a pretty good boot camp. So thank you so much for all of your due diligence. Thank you to LiftFund, one of our #1 partners in the market. We do so much with you all. We actually just established something with Tarsha with the Women's Business Development Center kind of a small loan pool for women-owned businesses. So that's going to be
Yes.
a project that we'll be working on with LiftFund as well. And so it's just always great. Cindy, thank you so much. She's one of our fearless leaders out in California. When I heard about you, I was like, she totally needs to be a part of this boot camp. And so thank you so much to presenting, and to the business owners. Thank you all so much for the wonderful conversation tonight. We would hope that if you need anything, please give us a call. And it's not about sales, right? It's about just us kind of being here as great advisors for you to kind of say, hey, I have this idea, and you want to sit down and talk to one of our banking center managers, or to a Cindy, or just you can call me, or you can call Sonia and say, hey, I want to talk through this issue. And we're definitely here as trusted advisors. So thank you all so much. It's been a wonderful boot camp experience, and I can't wait until the next one.
Thank you, Brandon. To close, we are going to send everybody who's attended from day one a survey. We are going to send you the links to the recording, and we are going to, with your permission, we will include your information, all the speakers' information, and we are going to send you more invitations of events to come. Please watch your email for more announcements from the chamber. Thank you, everyone. We close our boot camp. And enjoy the rest of the year. Bye-bye.